Documentaries. Pam Miller talked about documentaries when she was on with us, and all of the work that you're doing to put some legendary figures, perhaps less known figures, out there. Give me a few of your favorite moments from being involved with that.
Oh, I just got huge goosebumps on that one. Each of the three ladies that we've been blessed to work with, their stories need to be shared. If you don't know your past, how can you trailblaze into the future? But I'll maybe tip on each one. Betty Skelton, sadly died in the 80s, so we didn't get to meet her, but this is right at the end of COVID, and a lot of her, which is very little stuff, was at the Smithsonian. It took us quite a while to get down there, but they let us come in at 4 a.m, and her plane, little stinker, as the entrance of the Smithsonian, flipped upside down because that's how she flew. And both Pam and I, independently, of course, laid on the floor, looked up at the ceiling, took pictures, and had one with Betty. And that was kind of a moment where she came into our heart, and she shared places that we should be digging for things. But her documentary is so important. Both Pam and I, ironically, were at the GM Tech Center this week with Mark Stylo and Eric Warren, who are leading the motorsports for GM. And we got towards the end, and they had a big picture of Betty Skelton.
Oh.
And we both were so touched because here's the GM Tech Center, 170,000 square feet, and they're honoring her. And when we went public, if you will, with Betty, I did a few talks and presentations at the National Corvette Museum, and I met Kai Spandy, who ran the National Corvette Museum, the manufacturing plant, and they spearheaded through the Women of GM for us to show the documentary 500 women from GM around the world. And probably 99% of them had never heard of Betty Skelton until we did that documentary. Paula Murphy, the first woman to test drive at the Indy with Andy Granatelli.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Eddie Sachs. And, her son, Dan Murphy, God bless him, he's been trying to get her story to be told. And he hooked up with Eric Arneson from Fox, who wrote a book on her. And Pam and I connected, and we all kind of connected, and we took her story. But the blessing with Paula is she's from the Palmdale area. I grew up in the Santa Clarita area. She was alive while we were working on this, so I got to spend a lot of time with her. And it's like, oops, sorry. Speaking of Steve Sudler, she got to, she became like my mom. She hated the way I drove. I hated the way she drove. We always were bantering back and forth. And when she passed, I was just devastated. We got to be just really, 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 really close. And then Shirley Muldowney, oh gosh, what a blessing to be able to work with her. She's 84 years old. Pam and I are very connected to her. In fact, I've spent already 150 hours this year alone, or last year in 2024, scanning her thousands and thousands of pictures. So we have a library of Shirley Muldowney. And the NHR was really good to us, and we want to continue to shout out and celebrate Shirley since she's still alive.